All right, here we go. Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by James Saito, co-writer of Herschell Gordon Lewis's Bloodmania. It's good to have you back on the show.
It's nice to be back. It's been a couple of years.
And Luther Berry's artist, and he's maker of the official Herschell Gordon Lewis action figure, which is pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. Some people would call it a doll, but as a collector of action figures, I would say action figure.
Yeah, that's the correct term.
Yeah, it's action. Move. Right. Yeah. So, let everyone know this Sunday is part of our inaugural Bloody Stumps Film Festival, feature film festival. 15 films, 4 days over Labor Day weekend to be part of Bloody Sunday lineup, and you can see Herschell Gordon Lewis's Bloodmania free with a bunch of other crazy horror fans, maybe not so crazy horror fans, and the filmmakers alike. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, I think it will be. I'm going to be in the chat room for the whole time, and I think there's going to be some actors and actresses from the film itself, so fans can interact, ask questions, make their comments, whatever.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. So, first of all, how did the movie come about? Did you know Herschell Gordon Lewis? Was the movie in works before he was involved?
Well, what ended up happening was I was a guest booker at a horror convention. And one day I got a text that said, would you be interested in having Herschell come to your convention? And I had been a fan of Herschell's films since, I think 1970, when I saw Wizard of Gore at the drive-in theater. And so when I got the text, my hand started to shake. I'm just like, whoa, Herschell Gordon Lewis. So I said, yeah, hell, yeah, we'll have him, so I spoke to Herschell on the phone, and that's kind of where it began. And when he came to Calgary, we got to talking, and we had talked. Well, we began talking every day after I initially contacted him. And so when he got to Calgary, he said, we should make a film together. And I said, well, I've never done that. And he said, well, you've been in, sales and marketing all your life. You could probably do it. So I said, okay, if that's the case, I'll do it. And so I went on to produce the film. And during the course of, from the point of the first phone conversation until Mrs. Lewis's wife called me to tell me he'd passed, we talked every couple of days on the phone. He was like a sort of a mentor to me. And, I feel richer for having had him in my life.
Yeah, I was, people don't know, we started the show in 2006, Without Your Head, and he was one of the first guests on the show the first year. It might've been the second year, 2007. But it was before it was like established or anything, and he was all very supportive and just a really nice guy if you ever met him or talked to him.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful man.
And a great voice.
Certainly. And
even as non-horror movies I would watch because I would like to listen to the commentary track.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And then I think Herschell and I appeared on the podcast.
Yeah, it was right. It was before you made Bloodmania, I think, or you're just going into production.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's been a little while, but yeah. But I continue on with the Bloodmania path.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent all day today just talking to various people like Luther and Vince Atkins, who's going to be drawing the Herschell Gordon Lewis anthology comic book.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just been one of those days.
Yeah. So Luther, I know you make the action figure, which is amazing, and actually all the figures on the website are amazing. Are you involved in the movie? If not, it's fine. We're not going to kick you off.
No, actually, no, I'm not involved in the movie. I'm just the artist.
I don't think just the artist works. So, you're the artist. That's good. It's not just the artist. That makes it seem like it's not important. No, did you ever get a chance to meet Herschell yourself?
No, I did not. I was able to do a ton of research though when Jim approached me about this. It was really cool because I'd heard the name, of course. You know, if you're into horror, there's no way you can be into horror and have not heard of Herschell Gordon Lewis. But getting a chance just to dive into how his career path was pretty neat to me. You know, where he came from and how he got into the field. It was kind of similar to, not in the sense of filmmaking, but, you know, I was a designer prior to starting the horror business here. In fact, I used to make NCAA merchandise for a company not far from where I live. And the horror stuff kind of happened, I wouldn't say by accident, because I've been a horror fan my whole life, but not understanding the community of the horror fans, it really opened my eyes. Because when I got into starting to make, you know, I'd made a few pieces and we started a little Etsy shop and put them out there, and it exploded. That was in 2018, or actually it was December 2017. We opened in April of 2017. Back then I was doing a lot of just commissioned design work for people all over the country, different types of projects. The horror thing was something I wanted to do because I was a fan. When that took off, by mid 2018, everything we were doing was exclusive horror. And that fan base has supported our business since mid 2018. We've thrived every year. We just got back from Pennsylvania from a convention.
Nice.
And it's pretty neat because, you know, you have fans that show up to your booth that have purchased from you and you've never really met.
Sorry about that. I dropped my mic. Go on.
That's all right. That you never met in person, and then you meet these people in person, and it's almost like having a second family. It is.
It was the first time that's ever happened twice. I'm sorry about that, but so you're at the for people. What's a website people can go to? You know, you currently said you used to be on Etsy. Yeah,
well, we went to our own e-commerce platform in February last year. It's www.lb3ddesign.com. We have a brand called Evil Entities that we launched last April, which is the retro figure line. It's also where you can find the Herschell Gordon Lewis figure. And we continuously expand. We try to release 2 or 3 new characters every month or two. I think we've done some 70 unique characters since April of last year, and had over 800 figures sold since last year.
Oh, nice.
Which is really nice.
Yeah. If people don't know, the Herschell was limited to 100. Go on, sorry.
No, I was just saying the fan base has been very, very supportive of us. Because I mean, without that, you don't have anything. You know, the fans are everything to us.
Yeah. By the way, is that an Atomic Cotton shirt?
Yes, it is. I got this from Scares That Care.
No,
we vented that show last month and saw them there, and I saw this from across the room, so I had to pick it up. I was like, I gotta get that.
Yeah, very cool. Erica and Zach Kaufman, who run Atomic Cotton, very good people.
Yeah, really good people.
Yeah, I haven't seen them for a while because I haven't been to conventions for a little bit, but hopefully we'll get back on the road here. So people don't know, Bloodmania is an anthology. Was that always the plan? And how did you go about picking, you know, who's going to write and direct the different stories?
Well, what ended up happening was initially we were going to film one of Herschel's scripts called the Stainless Steel Butcher. And it was also known as another title. It required a lot of updating because it was written quite some time ago. So, I mean, there was references to things that people today, a lot of them would never understand. So Herschell began to update that, and we had some potential investors come on board, and I won't go into the entire story, but they got kind of frightened away. So it was back to the drawing board. And one evening I had gone to see a film that Slash from Guns N' Roses had produced. It was a one-night screening only. And before it played, there was a little short horror film. And it's always been my contention that it wasn't really all that good. So I gave it some thought, like what if we did an anthology? Because I grew up with Amicus anthologies.
Mm-hmm.
That was, a lot of where my love for horror actually came from. So then I thought, okay, anthology, that might work. And that evening, as I'm laying there, an idea for what turned out to be Attack of Conscience, the second segment in the film, just kind of popped into my head. I sat up, got my laptop, and wrote 16 pages, just like that. And phoned Herschell in the morning and said, hey, anthology, would you be interested? You'd act as the host,
Mm-hmm.
as well as direct. And, we'll put gory story in there, because he'd shown me the short script. And so I said, okay. And from there, it was just a matter of, as any independent filmmaker, put together the financing, which I was able to do. And that's really how that came to be. Was it our first choice? No, but as it turns out, it was good.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up a big fan of anthologies too. I have a Creep Show up here. It's the first VHS tape my mom bought me, and I love the old the EC comics and the movies based off those Vault of Terror and Tales from the Crypt and all those kind of movies.
I met John Amplis this past weekend. Super nice guy. Yeah, just a phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
They actually had him in costume for some photo ops as Nathan from Creep Show, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But he's a really, really nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah. If people don't know, he's the in the first story in the Creep Show.
Mm-hmm.
And also the famous the vampire movie by Romero too.
So
a vampire movie. But go on, sorry.
No, I was one night I was thinking, I wouldn't mind branching out. Maybe some action figures and stuff. So I Googled action figures, and there was really nothing that was catching my fancy. But then somebody posted on Facebook about, look what I just got. And it was a action figure of Daryl Revick from Scanners, which is one of my favorite Canadian horror films. And I looked at it and went, wow. So then I did a little bit of tracing back and found that it was Luther. So I sent Luther a message, and it just kind of went from there. So that was, very fortunate. It's a little bit of synchronicity from Facebook. So
yeah. Well, what goes into research from actually making a caricature, an action figure?
Oh, for me, it actually starts with the film, of course. I grew up, in the Mego era with superheroes and clothed superheroes and things like that. So those guys were always kind of I have a soft spot for that type of figure. We didn't want to. Our goal wasn't really to replicate Mego, more than to give a fan that enjoyed that style of figure something that was high end. One of the things, if you've ever seen most Mego figures, the clothing are really good, the packaging is really good, the heads are usually not all that great, and so we focus our attention on the tiny details in those sculpts, and then in the paintwork. So everything gets hand painted. We do custom clothing. We have our own custom packaging. We use a local company to do our art cards. We actually do the art designs here in the shop. But really, it was really because we wanted to do something for fans that they could really enjoy collecting. And we do very limited numbers. So our normal Evil Entities characters, when we do a launch, they're limited to 30 numbered art cards. Once we sell those 30, they're sold out. We don't make them again. We also will go back to a film. So I think the first two we started with were Mr. Barlow and Reverend Kane from Poltergeist 2, because really Reverend Kane, there hadn't really been anything out there.
Yeah.
And he was the creepiest man I'd ever seen in my life. That wasn't a monster, Him and Tall Man, I guess, are probably the two most iconic non-creature scary people outside of maybe Annie from Misery. But
and her by herself, she looks normal.
Yeah. So it started with those two. We did it almost to see how the fans would react, and they took off. And so we went into just anything. We try to stick to more of the obscure characters, So characters, when I grew up, that don't get really any love in the collectibles marketplace. So guys like Daryl Revock from Scanners, Cropsy from The Burning, you know, these late 70s, 80s, and even some from the early 90s. We did a Dr. Giggles figure, and before it really got off the ground with the fan base, I had a production company in New York reach out. It was People Magazine Investigates. So they did a episode called The Hollywood Ripper back in April, and apparently the serial killer that they were doing the story on was a big Dr. Giggles fan. So he had all this memorabilia when they raided his apartment, and they couldn't find anything Dr. Giggles related until they found me online, and they ended up buying all of my figures and all of my clamshells for them. And when you watch the episode, the cop walks in and all you see are all these evil entities, Dr. Giggles figures all over the place. It was really surreal to see that. But it kind of solidifies what we do. You know, we did a custom figure for this past show. Jonathan Breck, who played the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers, was at Creature Feature weekend. And so we did a very limited number of custom Creeper figures, and he lost his mind. You know, he went nuts over it, which was really cool. You know, in fact, we're probably going to do some stuff for him direct now. Oh, nice. But they're really cool. I mean, most of the time when people come to our booth, if they've never seen them, the reactions we get are really what we want, because they'll go, wow, look at this. This is, you know, the Gemini killer from Exorcist 3. Like, no one's going to do that in mainstream, you know, for any kind of mass production. So I enjoy that part.
Yeah.
I enjoy it all, but
yeah, I saw the one on your website, and I saw Dr. Giggles was actually sold out, which made me happy because I think that's one of the most underrated slashers. So, did you know the other directors and writers before James?
Well, Herschell, we knew, was going to direct a couple. So I went out searching for a couple of Canadian directors. And I interviewed some people, and Kevin Littlelight and Melanie Reinbold fit the bill. I had gotten a script for the final segment, Gorgeous, which was significantly different than the one that ended up being filmed. It was written by a very good screenwriter, Bob Schultz, but there was something that was just kind of missing in it. And it was different in that it took place in the fashion world, and it wasn't quite as violent as I wanted. And I thought, if it's going to be an homage to 80s slashers, then it's got to be more over the top. So when I met with Melanie and Kevin says, "Oh, I could rewrite it." I said, "Okay, I'll see what you can do." And not even, I think 3 days later, he came back with the script for the Gorgeous that was filmed, and I fell in love with it completely. It was exactly what I was looking for. So Kevin came on to direct, Melanie came on to direct, and I did want to have a female director involved, and everything kind of just fell into place.
You know, Gorgeous episode has music. There's a lot of good music in the movie. In that episode, the opening track in the movie, who did the music?
The music was performed by our special effects makeup artist, Dave Traynor, who's probably, well, I consider him the best in Canada. He's been nominated 3 years in a row for his by the Hollywood Makeup Guild for his work on Fargo. And so he's very good at what he does. I mean, he's been involved in a lot of different films. But he also is a guitar player and has a band. And they're called Lemon Gin. Gin like in Genie, D-J-I-N.
Oh, okay.
And they recorded the songs that the band sings. I Want to Cut You Up, and the other one. Oh, the opening, This Is Gorgeous song. Mm-hmm. They did that for the segment. And at the very end of the film, when you hear the rock and roll reprise of Herschel's song at the beginning. That's done by a pretty, well, I don't know, they're famous. They're a famous horror band out of Calgary here called Forbidden Dimension.
Okay.
And if you go and look them up, they got some, they've been recording for over 20 years together, and it's all horror rock. And it's just, they're good. They're really, really good. And so yeah, that's where we got the music from. And then Herschel's opening theme, he wrote a song and he just had the lyrics. So we got together with a group of musicians to record it. And it was amazing to just watch them compose this song, because Herschel was a very talented musician, great piano player. He used to actually perform at a local club in Pompano Beach, Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said, no home is civilized unless it has a piano in it. And just to watch him sit down and start picking out a melody on the piano, and then the band picking up on it. That song was recorded in about, I would say an hour and a half from beginning to end. And there's even that little rap part in the middle, and I got to be on that. So.
And I saw my friend Timothy Fife is also credited as composer.
Yes, Timothy did the complete score.
Very cool.
Did a wonderful job.
Yeah. Yeah, I know him up in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. And I'm glad to see he's getting a lot more work in the genre right now. That's really gratifying to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done really well. Sorry.
Yeah, he was tickled pink when we released the soundtrack through Modern Harmonics Sundazed Music.
So you mentioned already that the makeup person did the music, but the effects in it are really fun. All the gore effects. Like you said, a lot of stuff's over the top, which appeals to me. I personally like a lot of the bodies that like head explosions and people falling off buildings. It's
well, the head explosion was an homage to Scanners. We actually shotgunned that head.
Oh, really? What was that? What's that like on set when you're blowing up a head?
Well, we had Dave Trainer there and a couple other special effects guys, and they're going, "Oh, this is so old school, fucking Savini."
Right, for Maniac, yeah.
And I actually had my iPhone set up. It was on a kind of a trailer stage with this head that was made, and there was already a cast of the actor's head that one of the guys had. So of course we cast him, and it was a matter of filling it with cauliflower, bone, blood bags, and yeah, it was just shot from behind with a shotgun, and it's really something to see. And it for some reason didn't make the collector's edition Blu-ray. I can't figure that one out.
Huh?
But the face, the head goes, and the face just kind of falls. It's just wonderful. So the homage that was for Scanners, and in the one segment where the head gets pulled off and the stump is laying there, I thought that doesn't look very realistic. And I was going to get CGI to come in and just make it look more realistic. But then it was rightfully pointed out to me, this is a Herschell Gordon Lewis movie.
All right.
So, let's just leave it the way it is.
Yeah. The decapitations in Wizard of Gore are not very realistic looking. I love the movie, but they're not necessarily very realistic.
Yeah, well, we've come a long way when that head was pulled off. I mean, I've got a picture of the actress holding her own head, and it's remarkable how the work that Dave Trainer did. The head split with the katana, that was actually like a puppet that he was controlling, that the head would just open. And we made sure we put this gel in there so that it was very Rob Bottin with the effect.
Yeah.
Does it look completely realistic? No, but again, it's a Herschell Gordon Lewis
Yeah.
movie.
It's fun.
Mhm.
And was there any of those scenes that you're filming? Is there anybody around who wonders what's going on and they hear the shotgun or anything?
No, that was done on a farm.
Okay.
Um, the scenes of the body falling and hitting were done at a hotel here. It looks a lot higher than it was. It was actually myself and a guy named Chris Peterson, who was our caterer, who were up on top of this roof with this dummy. And we had, Dave was loading up. I brought a real cow's liver and was chopping it up, and we're putting all that stuff in. And we just threw it off. And it happened to land exactly where we needed it to. There was 3 cameras set up, and it landed precisely where I wanted it to. So I felt very fortunate. The film gods were smiling.
Yeah. Luther, do you have any? What are in the plans for like future releases?
Well, we did the Herschell Gordon Lewis. The idea is, we do not just figures, but we also do custom busts. We do small statuette figures. I know you mentioned anthologies. I actually pulled this out for you because see if you can recognize this guy.
Oh man, what's that from? Cat's Eye?
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the plan is one of the stories includes a character called the Night Hag, and that is one we're probably going to do a mini bust of and try to have it ready for a pre-Christmas release. So that'll be the next on the list, and we'll see where it goes from there. There's a couple other characters that Jim and I have talked about that I think could do well. I think the big thing is just getting this thing off the ground to get the fans to know that they're there and that more is coming. That's always the biggest challenge when you do stuff like this is finding that group of the diehard Herschell fans that'll help support the line.
Yeah. Along those lines, can you talk about getting the movie out there? Because, you made it a couple years ago and then COVID happens and, what's it like to, actually get, an independent film out there for people to find?
Well, I went with a distributor and they got it out on streaming services. And as any independent filmmaker will tell you, or any filmmaker, unless you're, it's a major Hollywood release, there's really no money in streaming. I mean, it used to be you'd get 12 cents an hour on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I think it's down to 4.
Like a penny. I think it's about a penny at the moment.
Well, it's down. I think it's 4 cents now for an hour. So I make 8 cents every time somebody watches Bloodmania twice. Now, take away what the distributor gets off of that. I get my portion, which I have to pay tax on. And so streaming really isn't a real advantage. However, the dark side releasing, well, see, what I did was I made sure that when I negotiated with the distributor, I kept the rights to Blu-ray. So I went and had dark side releasing out of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Very good distributor of horror and cult films. Release a collector's edition Blu-ray, dual disc, and that is sold out now. So it's there's a new edition coming out just in time for Christmas, and it won't be a dual disc though, but there'll be other things that for the fan to really sink their teeth into. There's been some talk that, use the footage that I have for, the making of Bloodmania, release it on Blu-ray, maybe sell it as a combo. I don't know. You know, again, where would it stream? You know, it's kind of niche. Yeah, there's promotionally speaking, there's all kinds of things that a person can do with their release. And I don't think that a lot of times independent filmmakers take advantage fully of what's available to them. But as that goes, you know, I do know a lot of independent filmmakers and celebrities, and I try to push them Luther's way, because Luther's always looking for, you know, to officially license products. And, you know, and it costs me nothing. And one of these days, I'm hoping, we've discussed it, Luther and I, that, you know, ship me some product. And when Canadian orders come in, I'll ship it from here, which would save shipping costs like crazy. So these are all little things in the works.
On the chat room, Marcia Miller says, thank you for the advice on streaming distribution. I'm making my first film of my own, and it's good to hear as much advice as I can.
Well, that's good. All I would say is have a plan. If you're going to negotiate any kind of distribution, keep the hard media for yourself, because the distributors will go 2 to 5 years owning your product. Now, if it just isn't moving, and a lot of times it can't, it's like horror books on Amazon. A guy goes and writes a horror novel, self-publishes on Amazon. Great. But how do people find you amongst the glut of horror novels that are self-published on Amazon? So,
well, I think that's what happens when it becomes, I'm not saying it's easy to do any of these things, but it's more accessible for people to make a movie or get a book out there, but it also is harder for it to get noticed because there are so many out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
go ahead, Luther.
one of the things that I found just in my business, you know, like I said, when I first started, I had an Etsy shop. I used to buy ads all the time. And really, I was doing myself a disservice by relying on the ad service to do the work that I needed to be doing, which is where I generate the majority of our revenue stream is through Facebook groups. You know, you find the fan base that's looking for your product. And what I would tell someone that's writing a book, I did some, before I got into the horror part, I used to do some illustration work. And I did some illustration work for a couple of different authors, one in New Orleans and one in Baltimore, Maryland, for their graphic novels. And they had one actually had a publishing company that published his book. The other one was trying to find a publishing company, and he ended up self-publishing. And the way he's gotten his book out there is literally going to conventions. He goes to every single convention he can get to. And every time he goes, he sells out of his books. He sells out of his merchandise. And to me, in today's technology, you don't need, I haven't spent an ad dollar with any company since February of last year. The fans do that for you. When you have a good product or a good novel or a good film, once you get that out there, that's the first part. Like, it's the first, when we started our figure line, once the fans got them in their hands, and then they start talking to people who are in the industry that are collectors, that'll spread like wildfire. It's just a matter of finding that marketplace first. Once you find the market for it, and you kind of let everybody, not that they're doing the work for you, because you have to find it. Like, you have to get that stuff out there. But you're right. If no one knows, Jim's exactly right. If no one knows that the film exists, it doesn't matter what platform you've got it on. It's not going to get seen.
Mm-hmm. James, like, you know, your background wasn't in filmmaking. What did you do to prepare to make a film?
Well, first of all, I've been a horror fan, and I'm going to age myself here, for 50 years. I have worked in film promotion. I began that in 1983 with Paramount Canada, promoting their Star Trek franchise. I've always been in sales. I've always done marketing. And those are really the well, it's the criteria. If you want to be a producer, you have to be able to raise funds, and you know, if you're going to get your movie made, raise funds. Now, having said that, was it Martha who asked that question?
No, I just asked it, but
No. The on the
yeah,
chat room.
yeah, Marsha, yep.
Yeah, Marsha. Okay, Marsha. One of the things I'm going to recommend is 10% of whatever your budget is. Put it aside for a little bit of advertising. Now, I don't mean like, what I mean is horror magazines that people still read, like Scream out of England. It's not that expensive. But what Luther says is true. Find your audience on social media as well and promote it. You've got to promote it as hard as you would a crowdfunding campaign. Inundate people with it. When reviews come in, post them. Post them by all means. Just keep that name out there with the public. But do keep a little aside for hard media in terms of magazines, that sort of thing. Doesn't have to be a great amount of money, but you know, just enough.
Well, I would think someone who, because magazines obviously aren't, as big as they used to be. So the idea that if someone is buying the magazine, they would have to be, a really a big horror fan. So if they're buying a magazine, they probably would be more likely to buy a movie.
Yeah, definitely. And horror fans are the best.
Spend money on horror.
Well, yeah. I mean, the horror fans, like that's how I was able to negotiate, like you can have the streaming rights. I'll keep the hard media, because a lot of distributors don't see the value in hard media. However, the horror genre, these are guys who, guys, gals who want to own the hard media. They want to take them, their Blu-ray to conventions to get signed. They love these special features. They love the commentaries. They love all of that stuff. And so hard media is still, as of 2021, important.
Yeah. Oh, there's still a huge market for VHS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's collectors out there right now that'll spend $200-300 on a VHS just because it's one they didn't have and it's part of the library. And that's exactly right. Almost anything when it comes to horror becomes some sort of collectible in the marketplace. I mean, things as simple as an art card on the back of inside the filler of a DVD. Those things become, like hard sought after pieces that people are trying to find. And every collector's got what they call their grail pieces, their selections that, when they find it, that's like their piece. It's right. Anytime you see a listing where it's like, hey, show your grail pieces on a platform or something, it varies from every different category of the horror genre that there could possibly be. It's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I'm going to shamelessly plug something here. Bloodmania will be released on VHS very soon by Culture Shock Distributing. So nice. Keep an eye out for that.
That's very fun. Even, for people who buy them and just to display them, it's fun. Display the VHS tape, even if you don't have a working VCR.
Oh man, if you look on Facebook and some of the horror groups, and these guys are posting pictures of their collections and stuff, and you go, my God. Like I have a small collection, but nothing like these guys.
Uh-huh.
The disposable income, my God. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's
well, they might not have movies to fund.
Well, yeah, that's that. Yeah. Yeah.
Luther, do you have what you would call your holy grail item?
I do not. A lot of people ask me this question because I build horror stuff for a living. Is what is in your collection? I have a very small amount of anything that I really keep. A lot of the stuff that I used to have, especially if I was doing pieces that I enjoyed, I would keep, what I called the prototypes.
Mhm.
But these things got so popular that people were asking me to buy the prototypes. And I'm not, I'm in this business for the fans to be able to collect. So I have a signed Pruitt Taylor Vince figure that I did for a custom for Scares That Care, and one from Jonathan Breck on Jeepers Creepers. I have a few things from Linda Blair and Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist. The Exorcist was my all-time favorite horror film. It was kind of the thing that terrorized me when I was about 6 years old, and it kind of got me into liking horror in a sense, in a bad way, I guess. Not sleeping for 2 weeks and then going, okay, I got to figure out how they did that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I really don't have a grail piece for myself. Now I've got some clients and some friends that are in Jersey and one down in Texas that their stuff is like museum stuff. I mean, I have one client in Texas that orders custom 16 to 18-inch statues that we do for her.
Oh, nice.
And every one that we do is a one-off, one-of-a-kind custom. So everything in her collection from us, we've only done once. So that's really neat. I've had another that there's a video floating around on Instagram. One of my clients had me do a Sid Prescott from Scream, 1-to-1 scale, fully, real clothes, hair. And she was at a convention with Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard, and Skeet is holding this bust on his shoulder with his back turned, so it looks like Sid's like I'm looking out. It's just hilarious. Like they're cutting up over it. That kind of stuff makes my day. Like to me, the reaction is far exceeds the money for any of this for me, because it kind of validates what you do. When you have fans that are happy with what they purchase, and then they tell people, and then they post it. For me, that's worth its weight in gold. Way more so than the money.
Well, you can't buy that kind of advertising.
No, you can't. And it gets to the point where you thrive to try and do better with each product that you release, because you don't want to lose that. The one thing I never want to do is rest on my laurels when it comes to how we do certain things. I want to continue to grow. The Evil Entities brand that we've built, the one thing that I will not do is, and I've told many people this, is I don't want to do mass production with that brand. I won't say I'll never do mass production, period, but it's going to have to be a different way we brand it, because the Evil Entities brand for us is our high-end custom brand. So we want to keep that way for as long as I'm in business.
Marcia says she appreciates taking time to give advice. And Babette Bombshell says she really misses Herschell Gordon Lewis.
Oh, that would be Babette Bombshell.
Yes.
Hi, Babette.
I'm a big fan of Babette, longtime friend of Babette's.
Yep. No. Well, yeah. I think anybody who knew Herschell recognizes the gap that's left when he passed. He was.
Did he get to see the finished movie?
Yeah, he did. Yep. He never got to see. I was constantly sending him, cuts as we did them, individual episodes as well as the entirety. So yeah, he did. It took a little while. Then it took longer than I would have liked, and I won't get into it. But yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to mention was I have been speaking with a major streaming network, and there's a non-disclosure agreement that I can't name who it is, but they want a script from me that is extremely dark, because they want to be the preeminent horror streaming service in the world. Now, the astute reader or listener probably knows who I'm referring to. So I plan to submit that script along with the script for Bloodmania 2, which has been done now for a couple of years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's it was up until recently called Bloodmania Carnage, but Venom kind of took care of that. So
Right.
it's under the title now Bloodmania Slaughterhouse, which was actually the original title of the first Bloodmania. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about this.
Part 2 will also be an anthology film.
Yes, and different writers this time. Well, I wrote one. Dave Traynor, the effects guy, wrote one. And yeah, so it's been ready to go for a while. And I think the scripts are actually better than the first one. And yeah, my picture seems to be breaking up, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. There's lots of good things on the horizon, and it's very, very good.
Yeah, that's very exciting. I look forward to more to see where that progresses.
Well, I've got 20 introductions by Herschell Gordon Lewis that have never been seen. Never been seen anywhere.
That's very exciting. That's very cool. Looking forward to that. Big fan of Herschell and Bloodmania, so that would be very cool to see more of them. And you can see it this Sunday, Bloodmania. By the way, where else can people see Bloodmania?
Amazon Prime. It's streaming on Amazon Prime internationally as well. Vimeo on demand. You can you can buy the Blu-ray on Amazon or DVD. If you go to darksidereleasing.com, just before Christmas, there'll be a new sort of deluxe Blu-ray available.
Oh, that's very cool. That's exciting.
Yeah, and that particular one contains one scene that I left out of the original because Mrs. Lewis hated it. Just absolutely hated it.
Was it too graphic, or what? What was her reasoning?
Well, it's almost like pornography. It's this and that. Oh, wow. And so later on, I just kind of said, "Fuck it," like, well, I'm going to put the fucking thing in, So no repercussions yet. So I think you can also see Bloodmania on Tubi. And actually, strangely enough, Tubi actually pays better than some streaming services.
Yeah, that's what all my independent filmmaker friends say, and they all recommend Tubi. Yeah.
It freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so those are the places you can get it. Amazon, Walmart.ca, you name it. You can find the Blu-ray and the DVD. So, and the funny thing was, the Blu-ray was supposed to be released all over Europe and Asia. Had the release date set. It was going to go into retail markets, and COVID hit. And so there were no retail outlets for it to be sold in because of the lockdowns.
Yeah.
And still lockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was kind of a kick in the ass to my pocket.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unfortunately, looks like things might be going backwards.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. I really don't think that either America or Canada has felt the full impact of a fourth wave. So that's why I'm on deworming pills. No,
I was just gonna tell everyone, don't do any horse dewormers. Which I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but I'm always.
No, I saw your post earlier.
Yeah.
There's two types of deworming. There's the kind for animals, and there's the kind for humans.
Mm-hmm.
They both contain the same underlying element. If you go for horse, you see, they have had some success using it on patients that there's no other solution. They're dying. So they've used it, and some people have recovered. However, they don't know what the long-term effects are. They figure it's going to cause kidney, liver, all kinds of damage.
Yeah, and and people who just go and buy it and don't know how much to take, and they're having it's ripping apart their intestines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, but you know, to each their own. I can't believe it sometimes. That thing you posted about, well, here's a diet you can be on so you don't shit your pants in public.
Right. Yeah. I just, out of curiosity, I started reading the pages that were dedicated to it, and they were just all giving each other advice on how not to shit themselves. It's like,
wow.
You can just not take it, I guess. But yeah. Luther. Where can people I don't know where to follow up after that. Speaking of Luther, where can people follow you and see what's going on with your creations?
We've got we don't do Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I don't think I've used it ever, but I do have Instagram. It's LB3D_design, and our Facebook page is LB space 3D space design. And we post anytime we're doing new launches. We usually, especially with our figure line, we try to give 2 to 3 days notice before we go live on the site. And normally what we're trying to do is, if we release on, say, a Friday, normally we would ship 1 month after that is when the figures would start to go out. So they're all kind of pre-order releases about a month ahead of schedule, but yeah, I mean, we make announcements all the time on stuff like that. We recently did an 18-inch Barlow in a fully clothed big. It's a big guy with a nice custom box, and it sold out so fast it kind of blew my mind. We only did 10 on the release, and they sold out in like 4 hours. I was really surprised because they were expensive pieces. I mean, but again, we have such a good fan base, man. They love what we do, and I'm very appreciative of everyone that supports us. It's kind of been a whirlwind for the last few years, in a good way,
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to step off here.
Yeah, well, we're going to take off anyway, but appreciate you coming on. It's been a lot of fun talking with you, and I loved looking at all the figures.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Very nice meeting you guys. All right. Have a great night.
You as well.
You too.
And James, we're going to be watching Bloodmania Sunday for the Bloody Stumps Film Festival, Bloody Sunday block. There's a lot of crazy movies that night. It'll be fun. Starts at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4:45 the trailers will start, and then it goes till probably 11:30 or so.
Have you been getting a lot of trailers in, or?
Yeah, so I tried to spread them out throughout all the different days, so that'll be fun.
Good. Yeah, I've been promoting the hell out of you on the Slasher app.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you should download it for your phone, man.
Yeah,
social network for horror fans, like.
Yeah, that. Hey, like you said earlier, you have to really be a self-promoter to do any things like this.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, and slashers, it's fun. I mean, it's entirely different than say Facebook or anything else. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I have had talks with him about being the official podcast of Slasher, but to be honest, I don't have the time. It's just not happening, so maybe you could talk to Damon, the guy who runs it.
All right, I'll look into this. Well, I appreciate the advice.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, why not?
Yeah.
And as far as it goes, anything merchandise wise, like what, where to get Luther's products, that kind of thing, you can always go to the Bloodmania website at Bloodmania, one word, There'll be links there for all kinds of merchandising, the Blu-rays, the DVDs, everything. A preview of the comic book, which I just got the first cover of today, and it's kind of
Very
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check that out. Well, I won't go check that, but when it goes up, I'll check it out.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess we will see
Yeah,
you
we'll talk soon
I'll see you in the chat room on
Sunday. Yeah,
on Sunday.
and we'll be talking again shortly on another show.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
it'll
Okay.
probably be after the event, but it'll be soon. Just because
Okay.
I don't have much time left before the event. But yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Everything starts Friday, but yeah.
So that would be Jess and I think.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to that as always. And I think I'm going to go buy a new webcam.
There you go.
Is this
For
one
the future,
just
for the future?
it blows?
Yeah.
It blows.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I'd also like to thank anybody who's watched. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for watching.
And we hope to see you Sunday on Bloody Sunday at the Bloody Stumps Film Festival.
Yep. It's going to be a good time. And I appreciate sending the movie and I appreciate coming on the show.
Hey, not a problem, man. Great to be here. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.